Good morning, YouTube, and today I'll be profiling for you my Ancient Warrior deck. This is a really fun deck that just came out of Ignition Assault. It's not gotten the best kind of hype, but you know what? I've enjoyed it, and let's just hop right into it. Starting off, we run 2 of the Valiant. I would try and pronounce their names like Zheng Di, but I butcher them, so I'm not even going to try. I only want to run 2 because he is searchable from the deck, and you can special summon him when you have 2 Ancient Warriors in the field, but that doesn't happen as much, and you can only use his effect once per turn, so he can be a brick if you see multiple of them. So I only run him at 2, but he is great in the deck. We run a playset of your Loyal. He is a Cyber Dragon, so you can special summon him if your opponent controls a monster. He can pop a card if your opponent controls more monsters than you do. Fantastic card, 2500 beat stick. It's level 7, nothing to complain about. Really great card. And next, run a playset of the Virtuous. Nice part about him, he can special summon from the deck. It gives you some draw power whenever your monsters declare an attack. Fantastic card, and he has a nice little Marauding Captain effect where you can't attack him if you control another Ancient Warrior. So you can play it in tandem with himself, or you can play it in tandem with this playset of the Masterful. Masterful does a very similar thing, except he adds from deck to hand rather than special summons. And he has the additional effect where he can act as a compulsory evacuation device, returning your monsters to the hand, your opponent's monsters to the hand rather than destroy them, which comes in handy and clutch at times. Next, run a playset of the Graceful. Nice part about Graceful is it helps you cycle through your deck in terms of to get more of your your continuous spells and traps that go for your Ancient Warriors, and he has the ability to negate monster effects once per turn. So it's a pretty great card. Not a quick effect, but decent enough. Next, we have the Eccentric. The nice part about him is he can pop your opponent's back row. Kind of gets rid of that aspect because there doesn't really have a response for back row for the most part for this deck, but he takes care of that possibility and again helps you recycle through your Ancient Warrior spells and traps. And rounding up our monsters, I do run 1 Pankratops because A, he is at 1, B, he gets you, baits out those negates, so then hopefully you can pop off with your Ancient Warrior monsters, and if not, he's just going to be a big guy on the field and do a lot of damage. So we run him at 1. Moving on to our spells, run a playset of Warrior Saga 3 Visit. Nice part about this card is it acts as an extra 10 key in your deck, which gets you the search, and it acts as a special summon if sent to the graveyard by an Ancient Warrior effect, which you'll do quite often. The downside is it gets sent after the second turn after its activation, but realistically you're not going to really necessarily worry about it because you're going to be sent to the graveyard beforehand, so it's really like a 2-turn 10 key and you just kind of spin it off afterwards. Great card all around. Next, run a playset of the Sun Liu Alliance. Nice part about this is it acts as a True King of all calamities once per turn, so it can only be done during your turn, which is a little bit sad, but it gives you a nice little power boost that stacks up depending on how many Ancient Warriors you have. All around, great card, and just gives you some more Ancient Warrior spells to put into your deck. Since we do like to run continuous cards, and they will synergize with it, we run a playset of Fire Formation Tenki, nothing crazy there, and a playset of Fire Formation Tensu, because your normal summon is very essential, and it's nice to have extra one of those. Sticking with the Fire Fist theme, we run a Fire Formation Ingen. While the Fire Fist Fusion isn't the best card, it does give you some extra options if your cards are negated, or if you're trying to push for that extra little bit of damage. So I like to run this in the deck at 1. Speaking of one-offs, we do like to run the Run Raigeki and the 1 Lightning Storm. I pulled the Lightning Storm, so I'm going to run it. You could arguably run 2 of this, or even run 3 if you replace it with Ingen. But the nice part of this, about having these multiple options is that you can possibly activate both of them in a turn, rather than bricking with 2 of these in your hand. So that's just a thought. Of course, you can obviously change it out, or if you want to throw in like some extravagances, since I don't run draw cards in this deck, you can run that instead. We do run 1 of the Ancient Warrior Saga Defense of Changbang. Changbang? I don't know. Oh man, I'm terrible with names. This acts as a sort of negate attack, but the real effect that you want to use is to banish it from graveyard when your opponent declares an attack, especially summon an Ancient Warrior from your deck. All around, fantastic card. Next, run an evenly matched playset of it because this is a definitely going second deck. While you do kind of need your battle phase, this is automatically a fantastic card for any going second deck. So I like to run this in here. You can clearly probably swap this out for maybe a Nibiru in the main, but I like it as is and have had fun and success testing it. And wrapping up our main deck, run a Place of Infinite Impermanence because I kind of like this a little bit better than most of your other hand traps because you can set it and it has more purposes, and I kind of just like it as is. Moving on to our extra deck. We run one of the Firefighting Durmandal. Nice for popping back row, giving you a little bit of extra damage, trying to clear up your field. Right now, it gives you an extra place to put your extra deck monsters, even though you don't really use that too much in this particular build. But it's there just in case you need it. You can clearly bump this up if you want to. And I do run a Brotherhood of the Firefist Swan because Swan is a clear popping of a card, does some burn damage, and gives you some extra attack that you may not have with some of your Ancient Warriors. So I run him in there. And speaking of Firefist, moving on to our Xyz, run a 1 Fire Formation Tiger King. Or excuse me, Brother of the Firefist Tiger King. Surges out whatever Fire Formation cards you don't have. Acts as a board clearance. All around, great card, and I wouldn't recommend taking it out. Next, we have just a bunch of random Xyz. We run a Time Thief Redoer, 1 Gallant Granite to search out for Nibiru if you want to run it in your side, which I do in this particular build. 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 number 101, 1 Utopia, 1 Utopia Prime, and 1 Utopia Lightning. I like it a little better than double because it gives you the ability to have that freedom in your main deck, but you can clearly run the double instead of him. 1 Evil Storm Exciton Knight, 1 Baguska, and 1 Heartland Draco since you run a lot of face-up spells in here. So we run this as our rank 4 possibilities. And we do have some space in our extracts, so we run 1 number 11 Big Eye and 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. There's a lot of times where you will just be missing that push for game, so you can use your 2 big boss monsters, overlay them into a Flare Metal, and just kind of sit there and let them kind of defeat themselves. So I like to run these in here just because you have the options to do so. And that's going to wrap up my version of Ancient Warriors post-Ignition Assault. This is definitely going to change a bit when we get the rest of the support, including the other fire attributes, because it can probably synergize with some Fire Fists. I'm definitely building a bunch of that stuff, but I'm building this right now as is, so you can play it probably today. Clearly, you can substitute a lot of the spells and traps with other stuff, but running the Ancient Warriors themselves is essential to be able to get their effects off and succeed with what you can in this deck. Clearly, it's not the best archetype that's very heavily reliant on its normal summon, but it is fun enough that you can have a good time while doing it. I picked this up because it has the same thing. It's one of the 4 great Chinese novels, kind of like the Fire Fist archetypes are based off of, but it's based off of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Pretty cool looking story if you ever get the chance. There's plenty of YouTube videos about it. And I believe it's, I was informed by one of my friends that it was also based off of a video game that was sort of followed along the same novel thing. I'd like to take a special thanks to my fellow guys at Fireheart Games who helped me pick this all up at the end of the sneak peek. It was fantastic. I couldn't have done it without them. And let me know. I mean, it's definitely a new deck, and there's a lot of possibilities that you can do with it. And it's not the most popular, so there's a lot of freedom to make different changes, of course, whatever you want to do, because, yeah. And hope you can take something from this particular build, and have a great day. Bye.